Yeah, thank you for everyone for giving me the opportunity to speak to everyone today. So PlantFuel is a plant-based vitamin and wellness brand. Before I get in the brand, I think it's important to kind of know a little bit about myself and kind of the story, how this thing got going, because I think that's really critical to the current business and the go forward strategy. So myself, Brad Pyatt, I'm the CEO of the company. I just took over as a CEO back in August and have put my team in over the last 2 months. My background is, I'm in the vitamin and wellness space. I'm a little bit of an expert, I'd say, because I've done it since I was, a teenager taking vitamins and supplements. I've used supplements since I was 16. I've kind of been a growth hacker with trying supplements since I was 16 and kind of been fortunate to have some really good minds along the way to kind of build what PlantFuel became today. I played in the NFL for 4 years. And during my NFL career, kind of what happened and how I got into the vitamin business was I was taking a bunch of supplements off the counter that just weren't helping my performance. And ultimately, one of our team doctors, kind of got into my regimen and what I was doing and realized that really the products that were being marketed towards athletes were hindering my performance and not helping them like the ads were saying. And when I realized there, I'm a pretty sophisticated, I have a pretty sophisticated nutrition background. I have a kinesiology background. So I consider myself a pretty well-educated athlete. And if I'm getting duped, then what are the athletes that aren't as educated, taking and getting duped into taking? So that was kind of the beginning of, my journey into beginning to start a brand and supplements that, create value and also actually help the end consumer. So that got me into a company called Muscle Farm that I launched after my days playing in the NFL. But during the NFL, I was, able to try, pretty much build what became Muscle Farm and utilize a lot of the current doctors at the teams and some of the athletes themselves as kind of test pilots to build, a meaningful product and a meaningful brand that came to market. With Muscle Farm, we grew this from my garage to about $200 million of sales, and in less than 6 years. Had a lot of growing pains, grew very fast, learned a lot about business. It was my first time as a CEO. And I was still, able to create what I still think today is one of the best and largest sports nutrition brands in the business. And that's kind of what, got me into the next wave of my entrepreneur career, which was PlantFuel. And in 2015, I left Muscle Farm, more or less to spend some more time with my family. I had 2 young kids at the time when I started, and they're getting 8 to 10 years old and starting to miss sports and their games. So I wanted to spend a little more time with them and kind of focus on them for a couple of years. And so I started the journey in PlantFuel in about 2016. I knew I wouldn't be on the sidelines much long because I love the chase. I love the challenge of building businesses. And I ultimately wanted to see if I could do it again. So I've been very disciplined and methodical about PlantFuel. I take great pride in what I built at Muscle Farm. And I wanted to be able to, if I was going to do it again, I had to find the right time and the right brand and the right product to do it with. So 2016, we, myself and a few of my doctors kind of began figuring out what's the next trend, what's the next big thing that we can build and come out with, a brand that could really accelerate and have, massive growth like we did at Muscle Farm. And ultimately, PlantFuel was kind of where I thought it was. That's where it was. Plant nutrition was just beginning to ramp up in 2016, and fast forward to 2021, and it's exploding with no end in sight. I trademarked the brand PlantFuel in 2016. I found a company that had that, bought it from them. I knew the name alone was stood out. And so I've been kind of harnessing that for the last 3 to 4 years, building the right product, the right team, the right distribution plan, and really trying to make sure before we launch, we have everything we can from a core fundamentals to succeed. One thing at Muscle Farm, being a first-time CEO, I had no idea what growth was, and to go from 0 to 200 million in sales in 6 years, that was a lot of hard times getting there. A lot of people from the outside would be like, "Oh my God, you're doing $200 million," not knowing how hard that is and how many problems come with that type of growth. So I wanted to use that experience that, growth is not always good if it's too fast. And so we want to make sure with this brand that we can grow to $100 million in the next 3 to 4 years, but do it in a very methodical and strategic way to minimize, some of the mistakes I had at Muscle Farm. Can't minimize everything. Obviously can't control COVID, can't control supply issues, but at least use that experience to give PlantFuel an advantage with that Muscle Farm didn't have, to get out the gates. So that's a little bit about my background. I just wanted to kind of set the stage with that, and then we'll jump into PlantFuel a little bit. So one thing we really focused on was there's so many products. If you go to GNC, if you go to Whole Foods, Walmart, you name it, in the vitamin aisle and wellness space, you don't know what to pick from, right? It's very hard to understand what brand to trust and what brand to buy. And that's where we see the white space is loyalty in the nutrition space is not very, there's very few brands like Nike's, Apple's, Beats, you name it. There's very few sports nutrition brands that have like loyalty like that. So we wanted to kind of really bring something to the market that we feel that could not just lead the category, but kind of break the category. And I'll get into a few slides here in a minute what I mean about breaking category. And to have explosive growth, you've got to have a brand that can do that. You've got to be able to touch the core consumer, to give them more than supplements, to give them something they believe in and they want to be part of. So a few fundamentals about our brand that make us differentiate others is we feel like we check the box on everything. Our products are premium. They're the latest and greatest in ingredients. We feel like our flavor profile for vegan products are as good as they can be. Our science is second to none. We recently just launched a clinical study to go after whey protein. There's not been one plant-based supplement to be able to say they're as good as whey or better. We feel from our baseline tests that we'll be able to be the first non-whey based protein that can claim with a clinical study that is as good as whey, which will help a lot of the general consumers shift over from whey protein to plant-based. And then we feel like we have very, very high-end products that are matching a need in the market with a great brand experience. One thing about our brand, I think when you think about brands, and I'm not a marketing guy, but at the end of the day, I am, because I've learned a lot. So when you listen to a lot of pros on how to build great brands, there's typically three things they talk about. Marketing equals brand. So you've got to have something that people really can hook into. And there's three things that come from the brand. Product is king. So we feel like we have the latest and greatest innovation in product. People is as meaningful as anything. Your employees, there's so many touch points to your brand, from the way your employees handle themselves and believe in the brand, to your consumers, to your retail partners, and ultimately to our investors who believe in PlantFuel and ultimately go and tell the story for us, which becomes free marketing. And that goes into storytelling, which is, to me, is very important. But people is where it starts and finishes for me. I'm a big team guy. Played sports my whole life, and you have to have great people to build a great brand. As we shift into kind of what I was talking about, breaking the category, breaking the mold. So if you look at some companies have done this of recent, like Dollar Shave Club, right? Gillette has got its hooks on everyone. Everyone uses Gillette shavers. Well, Dollar Shave came out of nowhere and ultimately is taking a huge marketplace from them. So those are some of the things we look at when we talk about breaking categories. We want to be the company that people trust, the company people want to be part of because we're cool, and ultimately people want to be with PlantFuel. The next thing I think it's important, as I was talking about people and team, we have a very small team right now that I've either worked with these great leaders or I've had them in some capacity of my last 15 years in the business. Brian Kavanaugh is our chairman currently. Brian Kavanaugh was a former GNC executive. He oversaw about $1.6 billion in sales at GNC. He recently was the chief marketing officer of a company called Iovate that sells Hydroxycut, Muscle Tech, et cetera. And they recently just sold for about $730 million to a Chinese group. And then Maria Dane is our president. Maria brings a unreal experience from the digital shelf. She was a former Amazon executive. So she understands the digital world better than anyone I've ever met. And I think it's important to understand that kind of the depth of our team is we all have a lot of experience in brand building, and we've seen a lot of successful brands in this space. But we all ultimately have, singular focus, where Maria knows Amazon better than anyone. So it's important when you go sell to retailers to have that type of understanding of how to really grow with the retailer, but also how to do it with a profitability. And I'll go down a little bit. Kind of the opportunity I see with what we're trying to do with PlantFuel is we're trying to mainstream plant-based supplements. Right now in the plant-based space, it's a decent size market, but it's not the active lifestyle market we want to live in. So we're targeting active lifestyle, which is about a $53 billion market. And what that is, it's basically anyone that takes supplements, vitamins, eats healthy, works out in the gym, just looking to better off their life. We want to be that go-to partner for them. And if I break it down into traditional sports nutrition, which is more of the sugar-based whey products, pre-workouts, recovery, that's a huge market. And then there's the vegan space, which is typically the plant-based. There hasn't been a brand that can sit in the middle. And that's really where we ultimately want to sit. We want to be able to bring the non-vegan customer into a vegan-based product, because that's where we see is the biggest growth opportunity, while still catering to the vegan-based. We're not going to lose who we are because our name is PlantFuel. So I think the vegan consumers will be able to understand that we are obviously a plant-based product. As I talked a little bit about how we win, again, it comes down to team. You got to have a team with, like we have amazing doctors, we have amazing executives, we have amazing relationships. At the end of the day, relationships is how you build a brand too. Product is key, as I talked about. Marketing obviously is something we really believe we have an upper advantage of, and I'll go into a few little things we've done with marketing. And then ultimately distribution. We have tremendous relationships from GNC, Costco's, Walmart's, hundreds of countries that we can get our products into as we move this company forward. As I talk a little bit about the products, I think it's important to understand that products not just what's inside of it. There's so many touch points that brands miss with products, and we feel that we've thought this through for a long time to do it right. So one thing is obviously the eco-friendly thing about our product is important. We claim that we're good for the body, but we're also good for the planet. All our packaging is eco-friendly. But the one thing we challenged our designers to is not just to be in a brown paper bag that normal vegan companies do. We wanted to stand out on the shelf. So we were able to find ways to create a eco-friendly packaging that shows up, bright and pretty and looks great on the shelf. So we're pretty proud about how our packaging turned out, which ultimately that has a huge point in success on the shelf. An example of kind of our zero waste packaging. One package of PlantFuel saves 19 water bottles. So these are little things that consumers maybe on the top of the funnel don't look at, but once they get into your brand, these are things that a lot of consumers will get behind and stay loyal to. The other thing we do from an eco standpoint is we basically we plant a tree with every product sold. So we teamed up One Tree Planted that allows us to plant, we committed to planting 50,000 trees this year, and it'll probably be way more than that, but that was our minimum that we committed to. And these are just little touch points that a lot of brands miss that ultimately create loyalty and keep people in the brand for a long time. Our initial SKUs that we launched with were 5 SKUs that we thought were the right ones to launch with. We have 2 different proteins. We have a pre-workout energy product. We have all-in-one recovery, and then we have a hydration/immunity product. In the vitamin and wellness space, proteins are typically the first thing a consumer will try of a new brand. So we launched with 2 to give 2 different opportunities. One's more like an all-in-one nutrition, which is basically a meal replace, and the other one's more of a performance protein that we're going after whey with. That's the one we're doing the clinical study. One thing to keep in mind is what we think is a huge differentiation for our product is the ingredient depth that we went into. So every one of these products has the latest and greatest innovation, which very few brands have access to right now. And I can tell you this right now, there's not a vegan product out there that has the ingredient profile we do. But we're not just competing against the vegan products, we're competing against traditional sports nutrition. So we feel that we can stack up against the best of the best in sports nutrition, and then offer the quality and the plant-based to the vegan consumer. Our rollout strategy was obviously the top 5 products we talked about. As we get into Q2, Q3, and phase 4 of our strategy, our pipeline is what's going to continue to allow us to get to 100 million in the next 24 to 36 months. So we have a pretty robust pipeline from ready to drink protein drinks to protein bars to gummies. We have one of the first omega vegan omegas that we're coming out with in Q3. We have a greens product we're coming out with. We have a whole snack line. So we have a robust pipeline, but we will be very disciplined about what we do and come out with. We just don't want to throw a bunch out there to the consumer. We want to do it at the right time, but we are thinking about 2 to 3 years out. So most of our product development's either done or it's in works right now to be done for 2 to 3 years out, which is a huge advantage for us to be able to hit growth as we see to get to 100 million. The next thing I'll talk about is our distribution. So distribution is, I think it's the most important thing outside of team. And I think marketing is very important, but a lot of brands miss on distribution. And what happens with distribution is you either go to, you fall for the 5,000 store chain, Walgreens, let's say, that doesn't really move a lot of product, but it sounds good in a press release. For us, we are looking at companies that we can partner with that can drive top line, but also give us the opportunity to not to build into the larger retail outlets like a Whole Foods, a Walmart, a Costco. But in the beginning, Amazon and GNC are the partners we chose to build a story and really use their distribution channels as marketing. If you're on shelf at GNC, there's a lot of credibility. And obviously with Amazon controlling about 70% of search that goes online with sports and supplements, it gives us the ability to get to a larger audience quicker. And then it also builds a case study to where we can start pitching Walmart's, Costco's, et cetera, as we want to grow our brand into that 100 million. Hold 1 second, please. I'm going to shift to marketing real quick because I think it's a really important piece of our brand as we go forward. As I talked a little bit before, I won't bore you guys with a bunch of details, but I think it's important to understand how I think as the leader of this team and how my team thinks. So we have a few rules about how we go to market and how we feel we're going to win. Product is king ultimately, like I explained. Being authentic. You have to be authentic, especially in today's environment. We live in the information age, and if you're not authentic, consumers are they're going to see right through you. We want to consider ourselves the leader, and it's a little bit of a Jedi mind trick out the gate. Obviously, we're not the leader; we're a small company, but the way we approach every day, we are the leader. We are going to disrupt this industry. We are going to take this industry by surprise. And before you know it, we will be at 100 million. and controlling a lot of the decisions these consumers and brands go forward with. And then I think the connection, it's super important to be connected to the consumer, but also to culture. And you'll see with the variety of celebrities and athletes we have, they're all over the place, but there's a reason for that. A lot of companies, one, don't understand culture, or two, they want to respond to culture, and we want to move culture. So we have Little Yachty as an investor. We have Terrell Owens. We have Megan Fox. We have Lucy Hale. We have a ton of college athletes involved in the brand. So we have a pretty wide range of reach, but they all have one common goal. They're all about nutrition. They're all about what better well-being. And at the end of the day, that's how you build a really meaningful brand. So one thing we talked about in being authentic, but also kind of changing culture and the movement of vegan-based companies. Traditional vegan-based companies are what I would say boring. Is, I guess, a nice way of saying it. They don't have any fun, or they're not tongue-in-cheek. And to win in marketing, you got to be funny. You got to, like Dollar Shave Club. They did an amazing job. That's how you get meaningful consumers to buy in. So we came out with a campaign called No Effing Way. And really for us, it's to the point. It tells you exactly what it is. And we've kind of found a really awesome campaign that can really be like Red Bull wings for us. And this thing can live for a long time with us. I'll play a little bit of a radio ad we did just so you guys can hear. We had to work with Disney on this for 3 months to let us run this, but they finally did it. Because it is a little aggressive, but at the end of the day, it's funny at the, what we're trying to sell. So I'm going to play this for you guys real quick.
Bob, you got a PlantFuel live read coming up.
Yep. This is really their tagline? I can't say that on air.
Station says you can say it once.
All right. Introducing PlantFuel, a whole new line of plant-based protein and workout supplements created by former pro athletes. Formulated by doctors with the same top-tier performance quality as whey, just without the whole cow thing. PlantFuel proves that plants are up to the challenge. PlantFuel, no f***ing way. Head to GNC to learn more.
Bob, you got a PlantFuel.
So that's just a little bit of like the tongue-in-cheek our brand brings. We've recently just did a deal with Tough Mudder. These are some examples of some of the samplings and things we're doing with our product right now. But ultimately, that's kind of what's going to get our brand out there quickly. Is it just differentiates us. I'm also going to play a video for you guys. When I talked about being authentic and also people as being part of your brand, this was a video we sent to GNC's staff members to really get them excited about our brand. But I'll show you what we have with some of our celebrities. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Why is that not playing? Sorry, give me 1 second, guys.
We can also put the link Brad, into the feed too.
Yo, what's up? This is Terrell Owens.
What's up, everybody? It's Spencer Rattler here.
It's Megan Fox.
Yo, what's up? It's Lil Yachty here. I am so excited for the launch of PlantFuel. I haven't seen a brand since I've been really playing and through my years of training that has stayed true to the performance benefits.
I clearly simply decided to partner with PlantFuel because I believe in it, and I know we can take it to the top.
Together we can help it really get off the ground.
I believe in this brand and what it stands for, and this is why I partnered with them to bring this product to people everywhere.
That's our love, so let's go!
Yeah, Brad. We'll post that video. I'm not sure if everybody was seeing the feed.
Okay.
I'm not sure if the bandwidth was helping that, but we'll post it up on your profile later today that everybody can have a look and listen as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, I guess lastly, I would say is, I think where we are with PlantFuel is we're just in the beginning stages of setting the foundation. We have a really good plan to get to 100 million in the next 24 to 36 months. It's a large number, but we're going to be very disciplined about our approach. We have a plan for COVID. We've obviously dealt with some things, as everyone has. But for us, it's not a short-term plan for us. It's the long game, and we're still very, very confident about where we're going with this brand. The response from consumers to retailers. I've been in this business a long time, and I've just never seen the consumers come back this quickly or the retailers this excited about a brand. So I really appreciate everyone's time, and look forward to speaking again.